so we brought in our chief legal mind, our legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, to talk about this, the North Carolina Sheriff's Association. They did put out a statement, Khalif, condemning McFadden's comments legally in regards to the office of sheriff. So was there a law broken? Is this just possibly poor behavior? Is there a blurred line here?
It's multiple paths you can go here. So was there a law broken? I'd say it depends on if the person that was spoken about was maybe disadvantaged in some type of promotion or on the job, if they were subject to some type of hostile work environment or things like that. However, in terms of being removed from the office, that's another avenue. I mean, the General Assembly has clear guidelines on how you remove someone. Section 128 of our general statutes clearly outline it's 6 factors: willful or habitual neglect or refusal to perform duty, willful misconduct or maladministration of office, corruption, extortion, a felony conviction, or driving while intoxicated. Those are really the only ways that you can remove a sheriff from office, and the process is pretty clear. Someone, an elector in our county, 5 of them would have to be here, would present a petition to our Superior Court judge, and they'd have a hearing. They'd go through the factors, and they'd find out during that hearing, were any of these allegations made, do they fall into that category? If they don't fall into that category, there's really no other way you can remove a sheriff. And so while I say there's 2 processes, I don't think the removal process is something that that comment would lead to. I think some of the allegations that are made in the past, they would probably at least allow a petition to be filed, and even some of those allegations would probably fall within the hearing. But this comment, I don't even think it checks any of those boxes for a petition to be filed.
Doesn't check any of the boxes, but I think one of the gray areas as we're looking at Article 2 here is the maladministration in office, okay? And it seems to me kind of a vague term in terms of, okay, are you misappropriating funds? Well, no, but if you're not running the office the way it should be, and again, you're using a taxpayer dollars to pay your salary there, Khalif, is there an argument that it's kind of a broad term that could find something in there to bring these charges?
And I mean, again, so when I used to teach constitutional law, I used to love that when you had an opportunity to look at the legislative intent of why they used the bill or drafted the bill.
Right.
And so you could look at the history and you could see what they talked about specifically on the congressional level. Like, how did it get here to be a finalized bill? How did it become codified as law? It started as this, and by the end it became this. And so when you look at this maladministration, I think, as I mentioned before, I think this is going more towards the allegations of deaths in the prison, or just deaths in the jail. When they're talking about people not being mistreated there, working time and working hours for employees. Other allegations in the past, I think, would probably be more direct to that point than this right here. While those comments were definitely inappropriate, he's owning it here and apologizing. I think it opens the door for some type of potential civil claim if you're saying, look, I was not hired, I was not promoted, I was, other people were given opportunities that I was not giving, 100%, because it would be based on race. You'd have a civil claim all day. But in terms of removal, I don't see it.
Not to put you in the hot seat, but I'm going to put you in the hot seat, Khalif. If you were Sheriff McFadden's attorney, how would you advise him right now? Because things aren't looking good. That doesn't mean you have to step away, but there's always the possibility of him resigning, right? The pressure to resign. Does that look better for this type of position, or waiting for there enough to be some kind of evidence to pull you down?
What I can say is 2 parts. First of all, I thought you were going to say if I was Sheriff McFadden, because I get confused for him a lot. People are like, hey, are you the sheriff?
We got that picture right over your shoulder. He's right behind you. There's a little bit.
And me and him have done a number of speeches together where it's like, hey, I thought you just spoke. No, that was him. But what I can say is that if I was in that situation, I would do exactly what he did. I'd own it. I'd advise him to listen, make sure that you make a statement. But also, I know him well enough to know he's not going to step down for something like this. A, the voters put him in office, and B, he's committed to doing the work. It may be in a different fashion that folks want to see it, but he's committed to ensuring that he will be there to finish the race regardless of whatever obstacles are in front of him.